Hello there, this is Francis Lady once again with another episode of Staying in the Fight to Beat Cancer. I had a mixed bag day yesterday, and as you would know that I was supposed to commence my chemo and it didn't happen. I arrived there quite early in the morning and the oncologist department was still closed, and I met a gentleman, maybe my age, and we got chatting, and I queried him. I said, listen, I'm making a couple of videos and I just need for you to share some information with me if you don't mind. And he said, of course, sure. What do you want to know? I said, what are you in here for? And he said, he's doing radiology, radiation, and this one is his 11th one. I said, how come? He said, for 12 years he was self-medicating. He had these massive headaches, and he took some stuff that he bought across the counter, and it eased his pain. And for 12 years it was happening, and he wasn't worried anymore because it was a habit that he had got, and he was finding relief from using this medication. And until one day he recalled that his son found him in the garden and he was lying there for about 5 hours, and they rushed him to hospital. They eventually did tests and diagnosed him with a brain tumor, and that's what he's here for. That tumor spread throughout the vital organs in the brain, and they're trying to radiate whatever they need to kill, and so that he could survive. And he said he's doing okay. He didn't suffer any memory loss. His mobility is fine. His eating habits are fine. However, he's always tired. And the oncologist department opened and the conversation ended. And I went in at about 10 o'clock. My doctor called me and he said, Francis, we cannot commence your chemo today because the results of the tests, the blood test that you did, have come back, and it shows that your kidneys are starved of water. They need flushing. And also there is a high creatine level in your blood. I said, doctor, I'm sorry. It's oopsie twice because I'm culprit on both counts. When it comes to water, I am so lazy, it's not funny. And I don't drink water. Even when I train, I take sips of water, but I don't drink enough water. And also the creatine levels are high because I have been taking creatine for the last 6 weeks. The doctor just smiled and said, no, nothing is lost. You will sit in and we will give you a drip and just help flush the system. But when you go back home, you must take in at least 3 to 3.5 liters of water per day up until Friday when you come into your blood. And then we'll commence the chemo on the 9th of December. So yeah, that's how the day ended it wasn't fun. I was so psyched up, I was so in the zone waiting for this to start, and then I hear this news. But yeah, by the end of the day, by the time I was driving back home, I was okay. Now, talking about driving back home, going to the loo now has so much urgency that it's not funny. Come around half an hour, this urgency comes and I have to move it to go to use the loo. And there are times I have to stop halfway to squinch so that there's no accident and then proceed to the loo. On arriving there, it's like one big pain through my bottom, that heaviness, and plus the pee is difficult to urinate. So yeah, I have that for about 3-4 minutes and then it eases off. Even when I do sort of, if you want to call it poo, it's just a bit of mucus and with a bit of blood. And yeah, that's how the day is going. So every half an hour I have to be close to a clean toilet, and because there will be an agency to use it. And even the trip to Maritzburg is half an hour from where I live. That had to be planned. I had to use the loo before I jump into the car and pray that there's no incidents along the way. And luckily they went, and use the hospital loo, and then yeah, that's how the day began. And every half an hour whilst I was there, I was using the loo. So that is now the pattern that I've gotten myself into. Whilst waiting to be called by the doctor, there were two gentlemen that were having a conversation. So I thought, hey, let me just chip in because they're talking. I like stories, so I listened in, and they were talking about the chemo that they're going through. Looks like they've met each other a couple of times before this. And so I introduced myself, and I just said, guys, I'm making some videos. I just like personal information if you can share. And I just said, and the other foreign guy said, listen, I'm a doctor, and I consult for the hospital that we are in and some other hospitals locally. What do you want to know? I said, doctor, please help me here. Can you demystify the secrecy that surrounds cancer? Why is it so guarded and guarded so closely that even people that are suffering don't want to be known that they're suffering? And he just went off on a tangent and started talking about the medication and the chemo that he's going through, and I realized that as soon as I asked the question, his guards went up, and he wasn't making any sense. He was making sense in that he is talking technical and of sharing information that I also know. And this young Indian chappie that he was talking to said, you know, I'll tune you. This is my 4th year chemo. And when they found out that I had cancer, it had spread throughout my body, in my insides. And they are trying their best to get rid of it by giving me the chemo. He said, my problem is I still have a job now and then, and I like my escapes. I just smiled and said, here's a guy, he's here being treated, but at the same time, he's doing things that are not going to help his cause to survive. But yeah, I was suddenly sitting with two different scenarios. Somebody that's very knowledgeable, that knows about cancer, that wouldn't share, and on the other side, a guy that wanted to share everything, but also doing the wrong things. So yeah, there's lots of different people out there. Thank you guys. We'll chat later. Bye.